to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to thank everybody for coming this morning. First item on the agenda would be the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second to approve the minutes as submitted. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of bills. Everybody's got a list of bills in their packets and
Second.
we have a motion, we have a second to approve the bills as submitted. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Hodis,
Aye.
Gessner,
Aye.
Wilhelmy,
Aye.
Aye. Bills are paid. Approval of the financial reports. Anything jump out at anybody? Candy, is there anything that you'd like to point out?
just transfer for leasing.
Yep.
I'll move to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second to go ahead and approve the financials as submitted. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Gessner,
Aye.
Hodis,
Aye.
Wilhelmy,
Aye.
Aye. Financials are approved. Treasurer's checks. List of treasurer's checks. It looks like paying some bills and reimbursements.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead and approve the treasurer's checks. All those in favor signify by saying, well, roll call, please.
good stop. Wilhelmy,
Aye.
Gessner,
Aye.
Hodis,
Aye.
Aye. Treasurer's checks are approved. Any additions to the agenda? Motion to accept the agenda.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as submitted. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Agenda is approved. Anybody want to yell at the water board to see if Dwayne could come over? Kevin, you may have to remind him to turn the mic on up there when he comes in. The sound of raindrops. Yeah. Hey, Dwayne. Dwayne Ash, Ramsey County Water Resource District
Yes.
Chairman.
Good morning, everybody. Our meeting started to roll along. We've had a couple people in already, and we're in the process of deciding pipe for Channel A that washed, or where the bridges collapsed, or where the ground collapsed and the culvert was gone. And we got that on order, and we had a couple of guests this morning on drainage permit out of Camp Grafton, which had no problem, so we signed off. We we approve that to go forward so they can do the training site that we're helping with. There's only two sites. North Dakota is the only National Guard site to qualify. And the other site for bridging work like they're going to have out here is in the regular Army down at Fort Leonard. And we're in the process of going forward now on cattail spraying and other bills that they got to be taken care of. But other than that, there isn't really anything really big going on. I had some questions to ask Jeff, but I'm going to wait until next meeting until we get a little firmer. And it was nothing real serious, just mostly joking.
Okay.
So if you got any questions, we had Bruce, or one more thing. We had our attorney and Bruce Gibbons on a drain complaint out here, Brian Schwantz, and we're working on that too. You got any questions for me?
Anybody have any questions for Dwayne?
Nothing for me.
I think your
No,
Ramsey County
thank
10 vote is coming up.
Yes, on the 17th.
Ballots are due by the 17th.
Yeah, we're due on the 17th. So
Okay. And they can be dropped off in the auditor's office
yes,
in the county. So
thank you.
thank you, Dwayne. Next up, we have Susie Kenner, Devils Lake Chamber and Tourism Director.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I will try and keep this short and sweet. I always feel like I bore everyone with everything that I love talking about. So I did pass around our annual meeting report for the chamber, as well as our annual meeting book for tourism. So the main concentration right now is the larger book, and I apologize I didn't get those to you earlier. But just a few things to note. Last year, the visitor committee put together a 3-year strategic plan to move forward with what we would like to concentrate on, and you can find those on page 2 and 3 of the book. But just a couple updates on that. We developed the first step of our cooperative marketing program for some of our partners regarding our guide services and some of our lodging facilities to help partner with some different marketing campaigns. We were running into some issues of us trying to find people and also trying to find some different demographics or locations that we would like to advertise in. So we look to some of our partners to really have them dive in and find out what's good for their schedule, and we would help with the cost share. So that's slowly growing, and we'll work to expand on that. We developed the Tourism Infrastructure Capital Grant this past year, and I'm happy to report that as of today, we've given out $87,000 in some tourism capital grants. We gave some money to the Ramsey County Fair Board for their project. We gave money to the Lake Region Arts Center to help with some of the internal furniture and things that she needed to get started there. We gave money to the Devils Lake Park Board for bounce houses as well as a trailer. It was kind of self-serving in a way, but I think it'll help both entities. They'll be able to utilize 4 different bounce houses in the parks, in the activity center, as well as the city will be able to utilize those for some of our downtown events with Crazy Days, the Fall Festival, things of that nature, Rip Fest. When we were having to secure those out of Fargo, every time we wanted to rent them, it was about $3,800 to get them here. So in 1 year, it's going to pay for itself. 2 years now that we added the trailer to it, but so we're excited for that partnership as well. And then we gave money to the chamber Christmas tree. We have a 22-foot tree order that will go downtown in Bridgestone Park. We are working through a committee right now to establish what we're going to do on the big hoop hurrah on November 30th. It's the Saturday right after Thanksgiving. But we'll have a tree lighting ceremony. We have a DJ secured for that. A Santa will be there. We have fireworks going off as the mayor hits the button. Sing-alongs. We'll have s'mores and hot chocolate crawl, things of that nature. So we're pretty excited about that. And the city has graciously donated a place to house the Christmas tree, as well as erect it and take it down for us as well. So it's a great partnership with the city there. So more to come on that. In 2023, our tax collections set another record year. We were over $23,000 compared to where we were at the previous fiscal year. And I think that's a lot due to our outdoor market, as well as an increase in our sporting events. That's another thing that we were working on, was not only advocating in our strategic plan for event and activity space, but we are working with our working relationships with existing entities for sporting tournaments and events. So we've really been working with the park board and the school to try and secure some more of those overnight tournaments. And I know the school brought in a boys and a girls basketball program for January, and the park board is working to secure some additional overnights as well. So we're continuing to work through that. And then next on our radar, we've slowly been working through some relocation information on our website. There's a tab there right now for relocating. We will be working through that this summer to try and boost more information out to people that want to move to the area. On a side note too, we've been working with Ann Pollard, who is the new, I forget her title, I apologize, but she's has the van through the RWIP program. So we've really been working with Ann the past couple weeks to try and find some different business relationships that we can work towards, and maybe some additional grant dollars. I know her and Sandy are working. There's, I think, $900,000 still sitting in the program for our region. So we're trying to figure out how the chamber can be involved and how we can work to help with that retention with the workforce as well. In 2023, our advertising budget was slimmed down because of the capital grant program that we installed. But I can happily report that through a lot of our advertising relationships, we were able to fudge that a little bit and get the same bang for our buck with our marketing dollars because of those relationships. And back here now in 2024, that picked back up to where we were at. So our even though our dollars went down, you'll see in our report, a lot of the advertising and marketing stayed the same for where we were at. On page 12, there's a quick overview, and you'll see that we attended the ice fishing shows in St. Paul, and then the new ice fishing, Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo in Oshkosh, which we will be attending again this December. They had lines out the door. I think people waited in their cars for an hour and a half to get into the parking lot to come through that show. So I think weather and just everything played a huge role in that. So that was a really great show. We also attended the International Roundup in Boise, Idaho, and we have boots on the ground right now at the IPW conference in LA. Even though it's an international conference, we don't get a lot of international people coming through the area, but traffic is starting to pick up, and it's really helped dive us into a working relationship on Highway 2 with partnerships with Grand Forks and Minot. So we all have itineraries on each of our websites, things to do, and helping to promote each other, trying to drive international traffic as well as all traffic that we can off of the I-94 corridor coming through, and saying, hey, there's a lot of stuff to do up in the north region of the state. So we've really been working hard to partner together, and we're seeing an increase in our visitation and our travel that's coming through. On a side note, on our visitor center, we have where you can sign up when you come through in our area, and we push people to sign the guest book. And since COVID, our traffic has picked up to back to about normal on that Highway 2 traffic. We get a lot of people that come down from Canada to cross country, as well as just some of those states coming from New York all the way to Washington and so forth. So really saw our numbers pick back up in our visitor center. So that's really good to see that people are back traveling and want to get back out. We started a pro staff team. We kind of took a a note from some of the corporate businesses and thought, well, we can have a pro staff team here too, kind of help us on that outdoor market. So we have 4 gentlemen that are currently on our pro staff team. They help us with fishing reports that come out. They help us with some of our travel. We have a gentleman over at an outdoor writer conference for us right now in South Carolina promoting us. But it's really helped, and it's really boosted traffic, and it's really helped with that one-on-one conversation. They get a lot of messages, phone calls that say, hey, we want to come to Devil's Lake. What is there to do? Where should we stay? Where should we go? How do we get started? So that's really helped us. And I'm really excited to say that we have a pro staff team involved, because I'm not out there every day. I can't do the talk, and they can do it for us. So it's appreciated. You'll see some Google numbers in the book as well. I think it's on page 15. It's really shifted and changed. So the numbers don't look overly great right now. But Google back in July switched all of their analytics to this new G4 program. And we're all kind of working through the details of that. But it really shifted on what they monitor, what they engage in, and what they report. But I can tell you that our mobile users continue to be the strongest that we have on our website. So that means to us that people are sitting on their couches using their phones to engage on our website, but they're also using it when they're here, whether they're here visiting family, here fishing, here taking part in any of our events. So we're really trying to make sure we have up-to-date information. Our event calendar is utilized. So again, push to anybody watching the commission meeting. If you have an event, make sure you are posting it on our community event calendar. It's free, and we have a lot of traffic that comes to there. And a lot of times people are already here and they're looking for something to do. So if we have something for them to do when they're here, they're going to engage in the community a little bit more. And we did have 287,000 page views on our website. That did go down substantially from where we were at in years past. But we did develop a new website that launched in November of 2022. And with that, we have less pages. So what we tried to do is make sure when you're on a page and engaged in whether it's arts or entertainment or fishing, there's more things on that actual page than just what you're going to read. And so with that, people aren't necessarily going through our website like they used to be, because you can find a lot of the information on the page that you're on. So I'm not too worried about the page traffic that went down. And then page 18 shows the budget for this current fiscal year that we're in. I'm not going to go over it, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask or give me a call. But we do try and do a big mix of traditional marketing as well as some of those new marketing tactics. So you'll see that we're still in television, whether that's a fishing related show. We're also in a lot of live sports. One thing we've realized, if you're going to put a 30-second commercial out there, one place to do it is live sports, because people aren't getting up. They're watching, they're not fast forwarding through Chicago Fire, to get going with their shows. So those are some of the areas that we're at in television, but we're in print media as well as digital website, and we try and do a mix. One other thing I will note is our miscellaneous marketing looks to be getting bigger and bigger as the years go by. But all that is some of our partners that we're engaged in have a mix of multimedia. So like Mid-Continent Communications or Northland Outdoors, we're not just on a television show. We're digital, we're in their email marketing, we're with radio. So that kind of gets thrown into the mix of the miscellaneous. So just so you guys know what that is when you're looking through. Other than that, we hosted a large media event last May, which went over really well. So we're hosting one again here in a couple of weeks. We have outdoor writers coming in for different magazine publications, whether they're regional or national. So they're flying in from Washington, New York, and Michigan, and we have quite a few driving in as well. So we will be hosting them. And then lastly, on the tourism side, we sit through quarterly meetings with North Dakota Tourism just on where they're at, what they're doing. And they use a company called Arrivalist, which basically tracks you. And I know it's really scary, when you go into a community and you get tracked. But it really works well for people like me who want to know where your people are coming from, where they're going, what they're doing. And I'm pleased to tell you that Woodland Resort made the top 10 points of interest in the state of North Dakota overall this past year in 2023. So that just goes to show me that Devil's Lake is a high interest place in the state. Our outdoor market is huge, and I'm glad to see those partnerships taking place with the Ramsey County Event Center, the Woodland Resort Event Center, because it's only going to make our community stronger as we move forward. So kudos to Woodland Resort on making that top 10 for the state. Just a couple of quick notes on the chamber side of thing. I always think we need to toot our horn a little bit more on what the chamber is doing. But since October 1, our fiscal year, we hosted 3 business after hours. We've had 4 grand openings and ribbon cuttings here in the community. We've had 6 business open houses, held 2 network events, and we brought back the chamber ambassador team. So you'll see some red coats coming out and about as we have those open houses and ribbon cuttings. Our educational programs, if you haven't taken advantage of our Coffee and Collaborate program, I think we've had some great educational series. They're hour long for the most part. They're free, but we've hosted events on cybersecurity, which was both for business and personal. And as having a 9-year-old, I learned a lot. Apprenticeships, social media. We had the Department of Commerce here on Find the Good Life and their new immigration program. We partnered with NDSU Extension with their Lead Local, which was a day-long training on how to be more involved with your committees and commissions such as this. So yeah, we're done with those, and we will look forward to hosting more this fall. We had our 97th annual meeting, and we gave out 5 community awards again. We have a ton of events coming up, so make sure you get on out and support those. Have a fun announcement coming up for RibFest here this week. And that's about it, unless anybody has any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Susie?
Sounds like she's busy.
Yeah, I've been busy. We have a good team.
So,
We're a really good team. So
thank you for helping make our community what it is.
yeah, you bet.
Special place.
I love Devil's Lake.
Yeah.
So it's
Well, it shows.
not even work.
It shows.
Yeah.
And what you do. So thank you.
Perfect. All right. Thank you.
Let's see. Probably skip ahead to Mary, and I don't see her here. Kevin, would you like to jump on?
Okay, starting out, the grant that we applied for our bike path resurfacing, we were not awarded that. So we'll be eligible to apply for that again in December of this year. So I don't know if any comments on that or not, but just so you're aware that we're still gonna have to compete for that grant.
Is that a cost share with the township? Or is that a?
It depends on how we want to set it up, but it was supposed to be cost share with the county. I mean, we could ask them to pay a certain percentage of it too.
So there's nothing being done on the bike path for this year.
Right.
It's unfortunate.
Yes.
Needs to be done.
Yep. I think they had $6 million worth of projects, so there's a bunch of them somewhere. Okay, continuing on, we got an invoice from Butler for the cutting edges that I ordered. They cost $14,537.69. Like to entertain a motion and pay for that.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead and pay Butler Equipment for the cutting edges, $14,537.69. Roll call, please.
Wilhelmie.
Aye.
Otis.
Aye.
Gessner.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, and then we also, this North Dakota DOT did some bridge inspections for us. Our share of that is $2,648.15. And I'd like to entertain a motion to pay for that.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead and pay North Dakota DOT for bridge inspection cost share, $2,648.15. All in favor, roll call, please.
Gessner.
Aye.
Otis.
Aye.
Wilhelmie.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And along with that, there's the signature page that's asking where we got our local share from. So that requires a signature from the auditor and the chairman. So I'd like to entertain a motion for the chairman and the auditor to sign that certificate of local match.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second to have the chairman and auditor sign the cost share certificate for a local match. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
We also got an invoice from KLJ for the design work that they did on Ramsey County 3, the thin lift overlay project. I guess I'd like to entertain a motion for that. Any questions on that?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pay the invoice from KLJ for the engineering work done on Ramsey County 3 thinlay overlay project. $4,270 or $4,207.42, 45 cents. Can't read, can't talk. Further discussion. Roll call, please.
Gessner.
Aye.
Otis.
Aye.
Wilhelmie.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
True North Steel has delivered almost all the culverts that we need for our culvert projects this summer. We'll be starting them in July. One of them was on Ramsey County 8 by Ryan Lorenz for $11,850.56. There was one on Ramsey County 9, mile east of State Highway 20 for $2,935.76. There was a site south and west of Doug Friggy for $23,276.10. And the last one was the Schladehorn crossing for $34,882.56 for a total of $72,944.98. We still have a few more stragglers coming in, so that's not all the culverts we need for the summer. But I'd like to entertain a motion to pay for these.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to pay True North Steel $72,944.98 for culverts. Any of those FEMA projects, Kevin?
Nope, they're all the ones that we're doing that are just maintenance.
And stream crossing standards were completed on those?
Yeah, two of them were, and the other ones are the same size as going back in.
Okay. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Wilhelmie.
Aye.
Otis.
Aye.
Gessner.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Strata is coming next week to do a thinlet or overlay patch on the road going east of Devil's Lake, where that dips in the road, right by the Elks Drive. They estimated it cost $10,000. using their yearly quotes. And City of Devils Lake has agreed to pay for half since that's a shared cost road. So I'd like to entertain a motion to spend the money to do a hot mix patch on Ramsey 2, just west of Elks Drive.
I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead and approve the patch with Strata west of Elks Drive on Ramsey 2. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
On the guardrails for the right bridge or the bridge on Ramsey 3 where we're doing the overlay, I sent out three different contractors I sent for quotes. Got 2 of them back. 3D Specialties out of Fargo quoted us $44,122, and Custom Contracting Solutions out of Jamestown quoted us $75,125. That seems like pretty reasonable with 44,000. So, motion to accept that low quote.
Motion to accept the low quote.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead and accept the low quote on the guardrail on Ramsey County 3, $44,122. Further discussion?
Just one question. Are they the same height? Are they all the guardrails when you put in?
They will be, yes. We asked for an option to raise them 2 inches or whatever to meet spec, but we didn't go with that option. It was another $75,000. Don't ask me why it's that much.
For 2 inches.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Imagine the posts. They can reuse some of the posts, so
Sure.
they would have to be raised.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the low quote signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, we have 9 FEMA sites left to gravel, which amount to a little over 1,000 yards of gravel. So I was going to ask for quotes to get those finished. I'm estimating they'll be less than $20,000. Then we end up paying for 15% of that. So right now I'm just looking for a motion to go ahead and ask for quotes for the 9 FEMA sites left.
I'd so move.
Second.
Motion and a second to go ahead and call for bids for gravel on the 9 FEMA sites remaining. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mayo Construction sent the contract back to us after they signed it. So everything looks good on it, the project and the paperwork. Now it requires a signature from the chairman and the auditor, so just looking for a motion to have the chairman and the auditor sign the contract for paving Ramsey County 3 south of 17.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead and allow the chairman and auditor to sign the contract for Mayo Construction on the paving project on Ramsey County 3. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
We had to haul our big sand spreader to East Grand Forks to get work done. It's an electrical issue. We can't get it started. We talked to Prairie Truck and Tractor in Napa, and they thanked us for calling them, but they didn't have either the time or didn't want to work on it, so we hauled it there. I don't know what it's going to cost, but just a heads up, it's probably going to be more than $2,500. We're thinking. We put new key switches in and a whole bunch of stuff that we tried and couldn't get it to go ourselves, so we ought to look to the professionals for it. Any questions there? Just for information, last year we used 4,317 gallons of gas and spent on our vehicles and spent $15,319.33 for an average of $3.55 a gallon. We're tracking our gallons and dollar amounts for our vehicles, all of our vehicles already, so it wasn't too hard to dig that up. And I can get you what we've done this year so far too, if you need it. KLJ has given us a contract for construction engineering on Ramsey 3. So in other words, they're going to do the inspection while the project's being done. Their quote is $93,500. I think I have budgeted $100,000, so we're within budget.
93,000, how much?
93,500. I looked at the contract. I didn't see anything different or new, or it looked fine to me. It's within our budget, so I guess I'll entertain a motion to sign that contract. The chairman.
I would so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead and have the chairman sign the contract with KLJ for their engineering and inspection work on Ramsey County 3, $93,500. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
That's all I have, unless Paul has something he wants to add.
The hours for each task in the back of it there, and then the description of each thing that we're working on. Then I did want to give you an update on the Ramsey County 4 box culvert project that was paved last Wednesday finally. Seeding happened on Saturday, and then striping was supposed to happen today, but it doesn't look like that's going. But that's the last thing left on that job before we can final it out. And then I guess we did look at a little bit at the Heggie Bridge again, just to come up with some potential options. We just reviewed the load rating report from the DOT, and so it's basically the wood deck itself is what's causing the load limit on it, and they didn't degrade it for quality or anything. It's got like a 98% whatever rating. So the only way to really improve the carrying capacity of that would be to shorten the spans, like to put in either another beam across, put a couple piles down and put a beam across underneath to spread that load out. And essentially it's a 2-span bridge now. That would make it 4 would be one option, but we can dig into that a little bit more and see if there's anything feasible to cheaply increase it without replacing it.
That deck made up 3-inch by 13-inch bollards all nailed together, so there's like hundreds of them down there. It makes it so heavy.
Yeah, and then one of the things that was in the load rating report is that they're only using, I think, like 14 inches together widthwise of those to carry the load across the bridge. So there might be some ways to span that load out a little bit more. Just spread it across more of those boards. But I don't know if you guys want us to look into that a little bit further, or
That was one that didn't qualify for any federal funding this last go around. So anything that we'd do would be on our own, or we could resubmit at some point down the road.
right? And it didn't sound like there's going to be any bridge solicitations coming out because they're backed out to like 2027 already with the bridge funds. So I mean, the bridge is basically as good as it was when it went in, essentially with the load rating it has versus, and there's a little bit of erosion around some of the abutments, I think, but there's not a whole lot the county can do with it other than something more significant to increase the capacity of it.
Okay.
Like there's no repairs needed, that would bring it up.
Still operational at the weight restrictions that it's categorized at now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, and yeah, you touched on Ramsey 3, so I think that's all I had.
Okay.
And then, Mayo said that they'd probably be in mid-July to mid-August is where it's penciled in their schedule. Somewhere in that range. But that's not set in stone yet. We haven't had a pre-job or anything yet, so.
That'd be good.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
Anything else for Kevin today? Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Paul. Mr. Rude, you're up next.
There we go. Well, I was wishing that I wouldn't have to come to you guys with this, but no way to say it, but the ambulance service is out of money. It's not just Devil's Lake ambulance service. It's pretty much every ambulance in North Dakota. It's every ambulance in the United States. We did have a meeting about it last week with several people from around the area, a lot of stakeholders, city, county commissioners, representatives for the state, just to discuss what's been going on with the ambulance service. So since 2018, we've been seeing our financing and reimbursement rates going down and down. To this point, we're only getting about 20% total reimbursements. So Medicare, Medicaid, a lot of insurances are following what they're doing, so we're only getting 20%. Just for an example, last year, 4.4 million, we only got about 1.4 million total what we were billing out for. So at this point, we're no longer able to afford our payroll. We've been going off grants and going off what we've been saving up for the past few years. We've been seeing this coming, and my board of directors did not want to ask for any money. I'm not here to ask for money today. I'm here to see if Ramsey County would be willing to sign a guarantee if we got out a loan for $100,000 for payroll for the next 3 months. We have rural ambulance tax district going up for vote in June, and we have until June of 2025 to establish one. If we don't establish one, we don't know what we're going to do. We're going to be forced to close our doors. So there's been a lot of new laws that were implemented April 1st, and it's going to make it even more difficult. There's 5 ambulances that are going to be closing. One of them is going to be in Ramsey County, and we're going to have to just absorb them into our territory as well. And within the decade, we're going to be losing 20 to 30 other ambulance services. So we're losing a lot of ambulance services in the state of North Dakota. And it's not just North Dakota, it's nationwide. So we will be on the ballot for our rural ambulance district, which will have its own board of directors. Our initial ask is going to be for 8 mills on this one. We can go up to 15, but the good thing about this bill, the way it's written, is if they start paying us again, if the insurances start paying, we can decrease. So if we don't need the money, if this other board looks at it and says, you guys are getting paid, you don't need money, we don't have to ask the taxpayers to give us more money. We're a nonprofit. We're not asking for money. We're not trying to make profit. We're trying to keep a business going in Devil's Lake, and it's an important one. Yeah. We're not considered essential services, but I think we're essential. So that's what I came here to do today, was just kind of go over briefly a lot of full disclosure of what's been going on. We have discussions with a lot of people. We're also going to a state level. They're looking at releasing some funds from legacy funds if we can, just to keep us with our head above waters until we know for sure what's going on. But that's what I'm here for today. You guys have questions for me? I figured there'd be a lot.
So in the stuff you sent us, will you explain to me, is it the state that considers you chauffeurs? Or is it, okay, so that, however it's supposed to work, you're not considered medical provider by the state.
Yeah, we're not medical providers, and we're considered non-essential with the state of North Dakota.
Okay, are you working on that?
We are working on that.
Okay.
So yeah, that's part of the reason why I wanted to address that, is to try to get some backing for that. So, and we are working on one that's called EMS in Distress. I'm part of one of the co-chairs for the advocacy committee for the state, and we're trying to get it so if this happens to another ambulance service, they can go to the state and say, here's some cash to keep your head above water. But that's not going to help us because that doesn't go until next year.
So does that help you with your reimbursements?
That won't help us with that.
doesn't do anything.
No. I'm also on with the Medicaid for the states, where they're going through and they're looking at what we're being reimbursed for. An example, our last batch that we sent in was about $30,000 of Medicaid payments. We got $300. So it's, as soon as we send in a payment, they deny it, and we have to run through the hoops to try to get paid for it.
So just to clarify in my mind, if you get changed from chauffeur and non-essential, if you get changed to a medical provider and essential, that really doesn't help you with the Medicaid either, or does that help?
It might help us, because then we become healthcare providers. They do see us as healthcare providers, but we're one of the easiest ones to say no to. So you can make your payment to the hospital, and it's a lot easier to look at the ambulance and say, we're not going to pay you anything. So we really don't receive a lot of reimbursement, and we're working on that. The government is working on that. There was a cost data collection that started in 2020, and it started right during COVID, and so they had it suspended. So it should have been done by this year, but we got 2 more years of it before it's done, and then they're trying to evaluate if we're getting sufficient funding or not, and it's pretty obvious we're not.
So just a legal question, I guess. We can back that move, right? I mean, as far as how much support can we give them to get change from chauffeurs, non-essential to medical provider essential at the state level?
I mean, that just seems more like a political backing of you're willing to throw your weight as the county behind that ask. I'm sure there are plenty of other counties across the state who are all kind of shouting at the legislature as loud as they can. Another voice is not something that would be, it doesn't make the county liable for anything as far as I'm concerned. It's more of the legislature needs to understand how many counties are supporting this, and obviously it's something that needs to be held up, and it's a very essential service for our area. I don't foresee any liability as far as the county is concerned, as far as supporting that push for the legislature. And then the ask for the essentially co-signing on the 100,000 is a different subject, but that's more of a financial rather than legal situation.
I did approach the city on this yesterday too, so the city's response. You're way more elegant saying the response than I am.
Chairman, members of the commission, Spencer Alverson, Devils Lake City Administrator. Mr. Root was at the City Commission last evening and had this exact same discussion, asking for basically a guarantee on this loan. And we had the conversation regarding Lake Region Ambulance Service and its geographical service area, right? It's all of Ramsey County and parts of a number of surrounding counties. So there's really a regional benefit. And so I think for the greater good and the critical nature of the ambulance service, the city commission did motion to grant the guarantee contingent upon the county also guaranteeing it, with the very real understanding that there is a very non-zero chance that this bill will come due, right? We're having a school vote today. We all know the conversation surrounding property taxes. That I think if the city and the county do guarantee this, you have to go with the expectation that it's going to come due. not to say that you always have to plan for the worst case scenario, but that's the worst case scenario. And at that point, if the city and the county are both guaranteeing it, if the bill did come due, that the city and the county would negotiate at that point as to who's going to pay as much of that $100,000 loan. Again, the city commission did it for the greater good, but I think that we kind of wanted to point out that there is that regional benefit. So it's really important that the county is on board if the city is doing so, because at the end of the day, city residents are members of the county as well. So, do you think, did I accurately characterize the conversation from last time?
No, good. You're right there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Halverson. Sean, question for you: is $100,000 enough? And is that all you're going to ask for?
Well, as far as I know from the board, yes, because 100,000 will get us to July. If the vote goes through, then we'll be able to use that as basically collateral, so we can get a more long-term loan, and we can get to the end of the year, so we can extend the payments out for several years. One thing to mention about the tax district is if it does pass, then it becomes property of the tax district. So I can't just close my doors and walk away. You can retain the ambulances, you can retain the equipment, you retain everything. We had one ambulance that said we're done, closed everything up, sold everything, and gave all the money away to charity. So there was nothing left for the county to use. So this is a way for counties to protect themselves as well. So everything is dependent upon the vote. And quite frankly, if we don't get the vote, I'm not sure what we're going to do.
So I do know that it's a critical, essential service for our community. You guys been around and serving our community since 1966?
1966.
So 58 years you've been serving the public of the citizens of Ramsey County and greater regional area with services. And this is the little brochure that you've created for the taxing district. So Sean will be out there pushing that hard. And like he said, they're going to be asking for a creation of a taxing district, and up to 15 mils is what the legal limit is, but that will vary based on need. So, and what Sean's asking for today is that we become a co-signer on a loan for the operations of the Lake Region Ambulance Service, along with the City of Devils Lake, for the near immediate future. So, kind of sums it up.
Perfectly, thank you.
So in your tax district, you said there's one ambulance in Ramsey County that's going to fold up. How did you, is your tax district boundary set, or that's something you have to do after?
It's something afterwards.
Okay, so you'll be able to incorporate
Yep.
whatever district they
Yep.
have.
And as districts or ambulance services would go defunct or fold, and you would have to assume that responsibility, you'd have to go to those voters and ask for extension within their district for services.
Yep. Every time there's a service that surrounds us, if they close, then we have to absorb them by law now. So that we'll have to expand our area.
At what point do you look at expanding your services outward for response time? Because that's got to be critical in the nature of business that you're in.
Yeah, but so we're actually dictated what our response time is. So we have so many minutes to respond. So if it goes further, that means that we're gonna have to put people out further.
So, just I guess for information, so Lake Region Ambulance is one of the larger ones. Where are the other larger ones that would be absorbing? Like, do you have to go to Rugby or you have to go to Minot? I mean, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yep. So the would be Rugby, and we have Candu for now. Munich is a tax district. They have paid staff for now, and then Langdon. So, and then we got one in Dunseith now as well. So, but then of course Dakota. So those, but we're the only ALS service between us, Grand Forks, and Minot, and then Jamestown. So we're the only paramedics in that circle.
Oh wow.
So then we absorb all of that. So anything between that is our responsibility. But we can't ask for it because they're their own tax district. We can't ask for them for anything.
Right. But this is only paramedics between Minot, Grand Forks.
Jamestown. Full time. Some cities have occasional paramedics, but we're the only one that are full ALS. And of course, since the helicopter left, we've increased quite a bit our amount of transports. Despite that, even just a little thing there is that from 2015, when we only had 10 full time, we're up to 14 full time, and we've got basically we triple the staff with flex people. So we're only spending $300,000 more, and I've got triple the staff what we had in 2015.
How was the reimbursement then for the transports? Like from the helicopter, what would be the comparison?
Helicopter's about 50,000. We're about 1,500.
But I mean, would the helicopter have to absorb as much cost as you do?
As far as, are they getting reimbursed?
Right. Well, how does that reimbursement work? Are they?
They're not getting as much either, but they're able to bill directly. So for a lot of the patients that we see, if I have a Medicaid patient, I can't go after and bill them, but they are allowed to. So we have different rules that we follow. No.
You have any idea on the accounts receivable that you have out past 60, 90 days? You know, because you said it's a fight to every time you submit a claim to insurance or what have you.
Yep, and we're actually working on that today. So
Okay.
I'll have it broken down by payer so you can actually look at it, and we'll send it out to you so you know exactly where our accounts receivable are, who's paying what, and it broke down to Medicare, Medicaid. That was one of the things that one of the commissioners asked yesterday. So we started working on it last night, and I'll have it done by this week. So you guys can have a breakdown of just exactly where the payments are coming from, who's paying, who's not paying.
And I know it's been said that if Lake Region Ambulance Service went away and people relied on first responders, whether it be police or fire, those can offer medical first aid, but they can't transport. Is that the protocol?
Right. They'd have to get a license, and then they'd have to get trained. So I think we only have a couple of firefighters that are EMTs. 2, 3. I think we have 3 or 4 EMTs.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all in the city.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Yeah.
He just passed, by the way, too.
Oh, okay. Very good.
So, any questions for Sean and what he's asking from the commission? Any recommendations from our legal team? Daniel?
As far as legally goes, I don't see any issues. I don't know that it's my place to make any recommendations. I'm not sure how many or how much of the ARPA funding is left, but that can also be something that's looked into as far as helping with this situation. This seems like a direct fallout from COVID and dealing with some issues related to that, and everybody's still struggling to adjust after that time period. But I think not funding would not open up the county to litigation. I mean, anybody can always sue for anything that, whether it's proper or not,
Right.
but this isn't something that I think opens the county up to any liability. But just as far as making sure that our citizens are safe and have access to these services, I think it's a good idea.
And it would be perfectly acceptable to go ahead and co-sign a promissory note to a bank?
I believe so. It's something that, it's something that local governments do on a regular basis. If not what the ideal situation is, but it's certainly it serves the public and it's in the public interest. So there's, as far as I'm concerned, no issue there.
Certainly a high need. So, and again, he's not asking for dollars, but just be a co-signer on a promissory note to the bank at this particular time. With the realization that the possibility of that coming due could come up. So, anybody have a motion that they would like to make to follow what the city did last night at their meeting?
I'll make the motion to co-sign the loan with the city. Just to make a statement, whatever you need, but going to the state and helping get this thing. I will help you. I can't speak for
Thank you.
the board, but yeah, I'll make a motion to accept their co-sign loan.
Okay,
And I would second.
we have a motion and a second to go ahead and co-sign the loan for the Lake Region Ambulance Service along with the City of Devils Lake. Further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Sean, I got one question for you. When you talk about transport from surrounding communities, how does the reservation fit into that, or don't they?
They can and they have. They've helped us out a lot. One of the goals is we get a call, even if it's from the hospital, we have to go. So we can leave our whole county uncovered instead of having somebody available now. And Spirit Lake is keeping their ambulances in Spirit Lake. So they'll come help Devil's Lake and South Proper. So they're going to help Lake Region. So they're actually a pretty good asset for us. But the tribe will not absorb Devil's Lake, the Ramsey County. They won't go past the borders.
When they help you, then how do they get reimbursed?
Federal.
Sorry, Sean.
They get reimbursed by federal. So IHS basically funds them 100%. They don't do a lot of billing, but the billing that they do is they're getting the same results. We're, like I said, we're not the only ones. I've been speaking to every manager from our size, larger to smaller, and it's all 20 to 25% reimbursement. We actually have a meeting with all the managers and the billing departments to discuss this more with the state, and that's later this week. So we are meeting with them.
So when you said that, they won't, Spirit Lake won't, they won't leave the boundaries of the reservation, but they do their own. They transport to Grand Forks. Do they rely on you for that, or
They help out. They're a tremendous help, and they'll come here if we're all busy. They will come into town. They will help with our calls, but the tribe will not absorb it. Like if one of the services folds, we absorb them.
Yeah.
The tribe has said that they will not.
But I guess the question is, if they have transport to Grand Forks, they do that.
They will do that. Yep. Yep. So they help us 100%. They just won't absorb any other services.
Okay, gotcha.
If that makes better sense.
Yep.
Perfect. Any other questions for Sean?
No.
Well, unfortunate circumstances of a perfect storm, and and I'll reiterate what the city said last night. Have your board swallow some pride a little earlier and come to us a little sooner. You're a critical asset to our community, and we want to see you guys sticking around. So,
Thank you much. I'll keep you guys updated in the next weeks. So you'll be getting tired of me after a while.
Appreciate
Thank
you,
you
Sean.
much.
Thank you. We're running a little behind schedule, so I think Haley, is it Viger, North Dakota Department of Ag, Sandy Shively with North Central Planning with the grant application. Is that right?
Yes. Sandy Shively, North Central Planning Council, Executive Director.
Is a green button on?
You gotta push
Right on the bottom.
guy in front there.
There you go.
Okay,
Perfect.
there we go.
Thank you.
The regional councils are partnering with the North Dakota Department of Ag. The Ag Department received funding through the last legislative session for this planning grant, and they are rolling it out through the regional councils to help simplify things so that, as Haley will explain, each township and county is not applying on their own. So they will essentially just deal with the regional councils and not each county individually. So I will let Haley explain the program to you, and then if you have any questions.
All right,
Haley,
can
welcome.
everybody
The
hear
floor
me?
is yours. Haley, can you hear us?
Yes. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, perfect. All right. So I'm Haley Vieger. I'm with the North Dakota Department of Agriculture. My job role is agriculture and livestock development. And right now, share my screen. Maybe. All right, can everybody see my PowerPoint? Perfect. All right. All right, so what the department has is called the Regional Livestock Development and Planning Grant. And so what this is a grant to assist counties, townships, and regional councils for livestock and agriculture development and rural development as a whole. So what this is for strategic planning and a site analysis. And so what that site analysis kind of gets you is an overall map with identification of suitable locations for rural economic development, for livestock, egg processing, storage facilities, and other egg-related development. And factors that are included in this consideration are local zoning and land use regulations, state permitting requirements, and availability to infrastructure and/or natural resources necessary. The grant is $12,000 per county, $500 per township, and then 50% will be awarded up front. The other 50% will be awarded at final report. Again, counties and townships are encouraged to apply within the Regional Planning Council. This just helps getting that fund out instead of sending out 60-some different grants out per county. We can kind of condense that out with regional planning councils. It also alleviates some some of the behind scenes work off to that regional council as opposed to the county having to delegate that. Some resources we have are First District of Associations of Local Governments. They put together a county site analysis for the entire state of South Dakota. They did this 10, 15 years ago, and they were the ones that kind of facilitated putting the GIS mapping and things of that nature. We do have counties on board that have picked First District Association to do their GIS mapping. The nice thing about them is they are another government affiliate, so they have left some extra wiggle room to help with strategic planning for counties and townships. Another resource would be A1 Development Solutions. They're kind of one of the background. So once you have a project, egg development or livestock development or any kind of development of any sort, they are kind of a once you have a project kind of company that can help. And the other company that has some GIS capabilities would be Decision Innovative Solutions. They're out of Iowa, and they have also listed that they would like to are able to help with the GIS side of things. And then North Dakota Department of Agriculture, Jim Hansen, also is working with First District and getting training on how to facilitate those maps as well. So we do have an application online. Your regional council would apply for you if that's the route you choose. The application is probably one of the easiest out there. Basically, Sandy would just list the regional council as the primary contact information or info, and list the participants. That would be the counties and townships that are applying. And then all the county really has to do is sign a resolution. The department does have a resolution that the county can use if they so choose. If they want to put together their own, they are more than welcome to do so. We just thought it'd be beneficial if there was one out there for the counties to use themselves. I will go over now what this site analysis kind of gets you, what that looks like. The example I have is for Cottington County, South Dakota, which was done by First District Association of Local Governments. They are located in the northeast corner of South Dakota, right along that I-29 corridor. If you know where Watertown's at, that's in their district. So what the site analysis will, so what this kind of covers is a summary of findings, site assessment, you know, what kind of criteria they were looking at. Something additional that they add into the final report is research and methodology, contact information, characteristics of criteria, those kind of things. But at the end, you'll end up with sites for CAFO, is what you're going to see. That's your confined animal feeding operation, so your livestock development side, or your AID sites, which are agriculturally related industrial development. So just think of it more on the industrial side for development there. Site characteristics criteria we have for livestock development on this site analysis include county zoning setbacks and requirements, proximity to rural residences and communities. They do not have townships, but they do have existing zoning districts, so that's something that's a little bit different, but in consideration here. Another consideration they took into effect is a shallow aquifer they have to deal with, another criteria would be access to county and state road networks, proximity to three-phase power and water supply, and capacity of that water supply. The only difference on the industrial side is that you're looking at proximity to rail and proximity to municipality as well. You will note that there are some removed parcels from this consideration. They are located over that shallow aquifer. They didn't meet the zoning setbacks. They didn't have three-phase power, or weren't next to rail or next to a state road network or county network. Not that those sites can't be added in the future. So what they found in this, they list these sites out good, better, best. So it's kind of a rating system. For livestock development, they found 69 good sites, 7 better sites, and 4 best sites. In industrial, they found 22 good sites and none for better or best. And what you'll kind of end up with is a map similar to this. This is your industrial sites. Since there's none in the better or best, you're only looking for that yellowish tan, which you'll find towards the bottom, right at the north side of Watertown there, and then the very north east corner there. And then here are your livestock development sites located all over the area here. So green are going to be in the best, orange better, and your tan yellow back to the good sites. One thing I do want to note is that any information created during this site analysis is not the individual land parcels themselves that you see here in this map are not open for open records requirements. So that information is confidential to that landowner. And then something that would be open for open records request is something along this lines, where you kind of have your township bordered out and you have XYZ good, better, best sites. So they are not identified by that individual landowner. Another thing we have coming out of this program is what we are calling livestock friendly counties. It is a voluntary program. Once the site analysis is completed, the county, if they recognize the significance of the direct or indirect benefits that come with livestock and agriculture development, they can apply to become a livestock friendly county through the state. Another thing the state is working on is a model zoning task force. It is a 15-member task force. that is looking at previously created model zoning ordinances and trying to create consistency across the state. And any questions on those or the regional livestock development grant?
Does anybody have any questions for Haley at this time?
So just to clarify, this would be a grant to do a study to kind of just identify where the good, better, best.
Yes. So, yep, what they do is take GIS maps and they layer them with rural water access, electric access, road access, things of that nature. Basically create layers upon layers and they end up with these sites. There's no going out to these farms or anything like that. It's just equated by mapping. And so it'll just individually identify these parcels as suitable for livestock or agriculture development.
So strictly.
So the way I see it is kind of a proactive tool. It's a tool in the toolbox. Doesn't mean that that land or that parcel has to be developed, but it is a tool in the toolbox to be utilized.
And North Central Planning Council would take care of the application for any of the counties out of our 6 counties in our region that are interested in applying. And then we would also take care of the RFP process. So put it out for public bid and get the contractor on. And then we'll also keep the counties updated on progress. And then they are saying that once the contract is awarded, it's 9 months to a year before the plan is completed. So. All right.
Any other questions for Sandy or Haley? Sandy, are you looking for a motion to go ahead?
Yes, and then we would need the resolution also from the county if you guys want to have us do the work. I mean, there is also the option that if you chose not to go through North Central Planning Council, you could apply on your own also. Okay. But if you want North Central to handle it, then the resolution, yep.
Do we presently have a resolution in place from past
For
this type of
I don't think so.
I'll make a motion that we go through North Central Planning. I think this is a good piece of information that the Planning and Zoning Commission would need or should have, and to also sign the resolution with North Central Planning for them to handle the application.
Okay.
That
second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead and have go through North Central Planning for this grant process and sign the resolution with them as well. So is that kind of the gist of the motion, Sandy? That you
yes. Need? Yep.
Okay. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you, Haley.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
Yes, you as well. Okay. We could probably go back up to Mary Lundy with the sheriff's house update. Do we need Roger in here with us on this?
If you would like to be, or outside too.
you press that little talking dude in front of your microphone there. Your paper's over the top.
Is that working?
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. If you could state your name and...
Yes, I am Mary Lundy, and I'm here today representing the Sheriff's House Museum as a part of the nonprofit who's been running the museum. Our nonprofit is Friends of the Sheriff's House Museum. I was made aware that some people might not know who's been taking care of the museum or a little bit of history about the museum, so I'm going to give you just a brief history, then we'll get into the damage to the building. The house and the jail were built in 1910 for the purpose of housing the prisoners in Devil's Lake area. And then also, if you were elected to be the sheriff, you moved into the house with your family. It served in that capacity until the mid 1970s when they had the new jail built, and they were going to tear both buildings down, the jail and what's currently the museum. A group of dedicated citizens got together at that time and prevented that building from being torn down, and it became Devil's Lake, the first heritage center at that time. A few years later, the Heritage Center moved to the post office, and the post office, which is currently the Post Office Museum, that was slated to be torn down as well, and this group got together and prevented that to be torn down. So what a travesty to town if both those buildings would have been gone. The Heritage Center took care of both museums until 2011, when Barbara McCormick took over the responsibilities of the museum. At that time, she took care of the museum from 2011 till 2016 with the help of the Preservation Commission. As part of the Preservation Commission, myself and Becky Larson were kind of Barb's workhorses. We did lots of cleaning, organizing, stuff that needed to be moved, a lot of painting, just whatever the museum needed at that time. Barb took over the financial responsibilities, and we have those financial responsibilities now. We pay for the liability insurance for our workers. We pay for the workers' comp. We pay for the accountants, advertising. We do all those things. We have passion for that building. When Barb passed away in 2016, she left me $25,000 to form a nonprofit to continue running the museum, and we've ran it since then. Our board is Becky Larson, myself, Mary Lundy, and Deanna Anderson. We are a 501c3 corporation through the state of North Dakota. We got a passion for the museum. We've been taking care of it, like I said, for the last 13 years. Things that we've been a part of as part of the Preservation Commission. The Preservation Commission has obtained a number of federal grants to help with the maintenance of the building over the years. I attained a federal grant, it was either 2016 or 17, to fix the wood on the back of the building. The nonprofit has had 2 fundraisers for the building, and recently last year, Becky Larson attained another grant for the building. Things that we've gotten for the building is we replaced all the light bulbs with LED bulbs to decrease the cost, make it more energy efficient. Last year with her grant, I believe she replaced the fluorescent lighting on the second floor and replaced it with more time period appropriate lighting. And as anybody knows, fluorescent lighting, you have ballasts in there. They were old, and those ballasts go out and they can become a fire hazard. Not that these were, but they were replaced, paid for an electrician to do it, paid to have the new lighting rewired, everything like that. So we've delegated a lot of financial contributions over the years, as well as work. We have spent countless hours up there working because it's a labor of love, especially Becky. She's probably painted 50% of the building because we love it and it needs to be taken care of, and it's a pride for our city and our citizens and for visitors coming. So that stated, let's get to the water damage. There was pipes that broke in the building, which you all are aware, and initially, when I was on a Wednesday night when they called, we got over there. The next few days, I spent over 30 some hours just trying to get everything moved. We lost our entire collection of newspapers. We lost actually all the Preservation Commission meeting minutes were over there, and they were all lost. We lost a lot of scrapbooks, anything that was cardboard or paper, we had to throw because we had to mitigate mold forming. So we worked hard with that. Service masters were there with their big air dehumidifiers, their air blowers. Roger was over there a lot helping out. And Roger's amazing. He does a lot of work. That he's definitely a workhorse. Really appreciate all the help that they gave. We got all that done. It's a mess still, but since then we've been able to look at the museum further, and there are more than just things wrong in the basement level. And that when I went over there that day, on that Wednesday, maybe that weekend, we went up to the second floor. The humidity in the building was around 90. And because of that, the second floor, it's cooler, and the ceiling is about to the attic, so it was cold. The water actually condensated on the ceiling, so it was raining in there. So there is water spots everywhere. So, and we're going to clean that. We're going to take care of all of that, but it's on the floors, it's on our rugs, it's on our displays. That's going to take time to take care of. And like I said, we will do that. There's a coating on everything in the building because of the humidity that was in there. And that's everything needs to be washed. We're going to take care of that. The one thing that we would really appreciate being looked into, and we want an assessor to come over again, the insurance assessor, to look at these things and maybe get a professional over there. The windows. In the windows between the storm and the inside windows, there was actually icicles that had formed in there. You know, all the way up top, the windowsills were full of frozen water. I couldn't get them open because the wood expands when it's damp. So there was nothing I could do about it. The water soaked in through the windowsills. There's 2 spots on the 2nd floor where the plaster, hey Roger, where the plaster is degrading and kind of bubbling in there. And that needs to be looked at. I haven't looked at everything else up there, but that definitely something needs to be assessed. Other thing that's an issue is on the windows, the glazing, especially on the bottom part of the windows, is degraded as well, or is deteriorating because the water was running down there. Is that a problem that something bad's going to happen now? No, but in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you know, the glazing is super important, keeps the glass in the windows. If that continues to degrade, that's going to be potential for the glass falling out. You know, now if the insurance claim is open, we can get that taken care of now instead of waiting when there's no longer an insurance claim to take care of those things. That needs to be looked at. Another thing, one of the bed frames up there was getting dripped on from the ceiling, and then the humidity, and it kind of collapsed. We might be able to fix it, we might not, but like again, as stated, it'd be nice to have the assessor come over there, adjuster, and look at things. On the 1st floor, again, on the 2nd floor too, there's areas where the paint started to peel in corners on the ceiling. There's cracks a little bit in the walls, and that was from the humidity in that. We're willing to do the painting. That's fine. We need to wash the walls too, because as stated, there's kind of a strange coating on everything, but we're willing to do that. Just needs, if we can get the paint paid for, that'd be great. 1st floor, the kitchen linoleum has started to bubble. Right away, the floor was fine, but for some reason, there's areas that have bubbled up about this high, and I've stood on them, kind of bounced on them, and they're hard, and they don't go down, so that floor in there might need to be replaced. The other thing is the bathrooms. I know the bathrooms is up for debate. Originally, I was okay with the plan that we had, but after visiting with Becky and then further investigation, we need that bathroom in there. The bathroom, because the pipes go in through a wall, it's hard to get to, it's hard to fix, but if we could run the pipes a different way, that bathroom needs to be there. And the reason I state that is, upon further investigation, looked up with OSHA, and OSHA states, and to quote it, employees must provide all workers with a sanitary and immediately available toilet facilities or restrooms. So that means running across the parking lot does not meet OSHA requirements. You know, and even for that matter, you know, if anybody's ever had any IBS type issues or womanly issues or anything, you need a bathroom, you know, if you're working in that facility. And we had a bathroom pre-issue, we should have a bathroom post-issue. You know, so that's my thoughts on that. You know, it needs to be assessed and discussed further. The wooden floors in there, we're cupping some. They're no longer cupping now that it's dried out, so that's awesome. Again, the windows, same thing, needs to be assessed further. The wallpaper in the dining room is having some issues in there. And then again, like stated, peeling paint. The basement, it's a mess, and we'll clean that and get it reorganized. It's just going to take time. Some issues that we do need help with is there was some sheetrock that had to be removed. If that could be replaced, that would be great. There was a wall that we had to take apart so that we could get it dry behind there. If that could be put back together. There was some board type things underneath the stairways that just needs to be put back up. And then we would really appreciate it if anybody has a big shop vac with a good filter in it, so we can use that. We used a little shop vac, June Craft and Bob Hoffert, who worked for us, were there, but they didn't have a filter and it just kind of blew dust all over, and you guys know how that goes. So if anybody has that, we would appreciate using that. A couple things in the basement that we lost. 2 mannequins were lost in the flood, so to speak. Other things that we had donated to the museum from our nonprofit. We lost the coffee maker, the microwave, we lost the mini fridge. We lost a couple dehumidifiers, but Roger went out and replaced those, so we were full stock with dehumidifiers, so that's pretty fantastic. If you guys have any questions, one more thing. We're usually open from Memorial Day to Labor Day, but because of the amount of work that needs to be done, we might not be able to be open this summer because there's a lot of work in the cleaning and stuff, you know, and it takes a lot to clean 4 stories of building. And I don't know if the water's up and running yet because they were working on that. Is the water, the laundry ready to go? Nope. Okay, so you can't clean, especially those floors and the sticky stuff without our water. So that's something that we need. So we apologize if we can't be open because that makes us, you know, that's too bad. But we got to get those things done. On a side note, we would really love it if we became on somebody's portfolio. So there was a Sheriff House Museum portfolio, so we can meet with that individual once a year, or you know, and tell them what's going on, or even if we just come and speak in front of you guys once or twice a year, so that you know what we're doing over at the museum and the good things that are happening. So, any questions from anyone?
Anybody have any questions for Mary? Any recommendations from the commission on how we proceed moving forward, or with some of the issues? Roger, did you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, the panel wall that you talked about was taken apart. I put that back together.
Oh, thank you, Roger.
Sorry.
Roger.
I put the panel wall back together in the basement, and just got to stick the bottom trim board on. All the screws that were in the sheetrock wall, I've got them out. I intend to bring in sheetrock and put that back. The linoleum in the kitchen, it is just the linoleum. It isn't the floor.
I didn't think so.
No, because I've stepped on them and you can step it down.
Okay.
So if the bubbles ever go back down, or if we replace the linoleum, whichever. And I've talked to Matthew back about getting the bathroom and working on it again, and he said yes, but he had been on vacation for a while. He said when I get a chance, I'll get over there.
Fabulous.
So, and yes, we were going to get the water over to the laundry room downstairs too. So.
And thank you, Roger. I appreciate you.
And the upstairs bathroom where it really had cracked, I was thinking about getting over there today and possibly scraping and painting that white again.
Okay.
And bathroom on first floor, I could see where there had been big chunks gone out of there before. Do you still have that same paint?
I think Becky does.
Okay.
So, like I said, we can
scrape
repaint
that
that.
off a little bit and paint that again too.
Like I said,
So
we're
I see
willing
it
to work.
been patched in before, so yeah.
And thank you again. I appreciate you so much, Roger.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna miss him when he retires. He does a great job.
We're not allowing that.
He's stuck here forever.
Oh,
So you were mentioning that the insurance inspector, or the insurance adjuster said
If we try and put out more things, then yes, we'd probably
have to.
be able to. Yeah.
Because
Although,
like
Matthew, Max, Bill had paid already. The service master, no, didn't get that. Jackie had that yet. Whether or not we still.
No, I told her to hold off until after today.
Okay.
So with this other damage, are you going to bring?
Pardon?
So with this other stuff that they found.
Yeah, that'll bring up the cost without a doubt.
But you'll have to bring the adjuster back then to look at this other stuff.
I suppose if you want him, you
yes, and
go through with
I
him.
would really like to, because, and especially with Becky, because we've been through every inch of the building, so we know what was before and then what has happened. You know, just so it's, like I said, brought back to what it needs to be.
do you think we could make an appointment with the adjuster so that Mary and Becky could be available?
Them there,
Right.
Because she had pointed out things I just had no.
Right.
So, and like I said, the bathrooms I was figuring on painting myself, so
Okay.
the sheetrock getting into. We would still need it to be at least taped and possibly textured. They never. What did they have on it before?
I don't
The
know.
wall.
I think it was just sheetrock on there.
Well, they had it, at least all the joints were taped.
Yep.
They must have just painted it, maybe not textured.
Yeah, no, there was not texture on there. It was just straight up painted. So,
So yeah, when you start including all that, then that would definitely bring us over the.
Because right now we haven't met our deductible amount.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do.
and right away, I mean, we were just in panic mode to get things out, and like I said, to mitigate that mold if it was going to
Right.
grow. You know, get it out, get it cleaned up, get it dried out as quick as we could, so we didn't look. You know, because you're in panic mode because
Right.
you got to get that done. And then we also purchased through the nonprofit 2 mold air purifiers. So it goes in, and then there's UV lights, and it also kills mold spores and that. So we have one on each floor. So if there is any mold, then that's gonna help out with that.
Good.
I haven't really seen any mold
Mm-mm.
growing per se.
No, we took care of that.
Any other recommendations from the commission? Commission have any questions for Mary or Roger?
No, just get the adjuster back over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we will. We apologize. I mean, what are your thoughts on us not being open this summer? I mean,
No, it's just,
I feel
part of
awful.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just
I don't know that they really couldn't open. I mean, I've been at places before where they're open and they're still doing work. And it isn't like this is major structural work.
no.
The
It's
only
just
thing would be
cleaning.
kitchen, if we can get that linoleum redone, that would probably have to be done before it goes.
We'd block it off.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a decision to make at a later date.
That sounds
You know, you're open from Memorial Day to Labor Day usually. So we got roughly 25, 30 days before Memorial Day hits, and
We gotta have water first, though.
we got to have water.
We need water to clean.
I'll get them out. I'll get, if I can get them over there.
Soon as the plumber has some time.
That sounds great.
So
Well, thank you so much for letting me speak in front of you and think about the portfolio thing. Who would want that? We'll take you out to eat. I don't know how that works. Maybe we're not supposed to do that, but we would love to have somebody have a portfolio so we could visit with.
we could certainly, maybe put that under buildings and grounds, or certainly welcome you in to come to the commission at least once a year, and you're welcome anytime.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, to provide an update. Love that old facility next door to us, and
Oh, it's a passion of ours. It's
Yeah.
been a labor of love. I should have stuck with collecting old stamps. Now I collect old buildings. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. And the spirits that visit over there, yeah,
Oh, they're fine.
and they're fine as long as they stay there.
I'm not worried about it.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Roger. Unfinished business, floodplain administration. I don't think there's anything new updated on that. I think Chris said that they did receive one more additional township resolution since the last meeting. City at Devils Lake. I know they needed to sign off on their resolution for the hazard mitigation, multi-hazard mitigation plan. City was one of those that needed to do. That was on their agenda last night. Two other communities that, yep. So moving on to new business, the North Dakota Heroes Foundation has a request. I was approached by Mike Grassgard, city engineer, and VFW commander about placing a statue or memorial in front of our memorial building, out in one of the bulb outs that is in front of that building. They had discussed that with the North Dakota Heroes Foundation. They went through some of the families that there will be honoring of the fallen soldiers, and they thought that would be a very appropriate place for that monument, and just want to bring the commission up to date on that. And we were kind of hoping that that would be done, earlier this spring for Memorial Day, or perhaps the Fallen Heroes 14K walk run that will be happening first weekend in June, but it looks like it might be later in June. But Mike just asked that we bring this to the commission's attention, and just have maybe the commission authorize myself as working through the county's response to that, and if things need to get moved quickly as far as their work to be done. Do they have a concrete worker contract or a concrete contractor that the city works through that would be able to handle some of this dollars? I don't know if the county is going to be looking at having to spend any money, whether or not this would be a city or a county or a joint venture between veteran service organizations. But just wanted to make everybody aware of this. And then at some point later on this spring, the summer, we'll have a formal dedication of that memorial, that monument, with everybody, all the dignitaries involved, and some of the family members present for that as well. So if we can maybe have a motion to go ahead and appoint me as the representative for the county to follow through with that, working with the city and the veterans organizations to see that through.
I'd so move.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second, to go ahead and allow myself to represent the county on that little planning committee for that memorial monument that will be placed in front of the memorial building. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of site authorization. We have 4 of them in our packets today.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second to go ahead and approve the site authorizations. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Certification of significant community support for City of Devils Lake. I think this is something for their USDA grant application for their one-armed bandit on their garbage trucks. They're looking at expanding that service or possibly getting a grant for that. And since the city resides in the county of Ramsey, they asked for our approval on that, so we just need a motion to approve.
So
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Steering Committee Comprehensive Plan Project.
Houston Engineering suggested we have community members on the steering committee.
Okay.
Get this thing started. Looks like maybe Candy's got the email in front of her there.
They're looking for 7 to 9 citizens. Steering committee could be made up of 1 to 2 county officials / employees, 1 to 2 planning zoning commission members, 2 to 3 members from the cities within the county, 2 to 3 township representatives, and 2 to 3 members at large.
So we have how do we recruit? Is that an ad in the paper?
A voluntary appointment.
Yeah, right. That list isn't much longer.
Any ideas, recommendations?
I've thought of a couple people, but I guess I haven't approached them, so I'll try and do that this week.
So pretty quickly it gets to be a pretty large group.
Right.
So did they have a limitation on how big that group should be?
7 to 9.
7 to 9. Okay. I know they set a limitation on planning committee members based on the size of the county commissions, but this is different from the entire planning and zoning committee, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess it's just to get the, I think they're looking for input from more of the citizen side of it. I think
Sure.
that's what I got out of the email.
Okay. Do you need a motion to go ahead with recruiting a steering committee?
I suppose that would be appropriate.
Sure. Okay.
I move we form a steering committee with Houston Engineering's advice.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I will second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead with Houston Engineering's recommendations for forming a steering committee for the comprehensive plan and recruitment to ensue. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of contract with Houston Engineering. So within our packets, we have a contract for services with Houston Engineering for services for the planning and zoning. And I think they give us 3 different options: a basic scope of services, a advanced scope of services, and then a total basic and advanced together. Did we have a recommendation from the planning committee on which one we should?
I guess we discussed that we'd like to have the complete deal, so it's
That would be my recommendation, or certainly be in favor of that. Would be the. Okay. So we just need a motion to go ahead and sign the agreement with Houston Engineering.
so moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead with Houston Engineering's contract for the comprehensive plan, the total package, basic and advanced services package. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Let's see, discussion on the 2025 budget. So the budget's coming up. We have to have ours done first part of August. Political subdivisions by the 1st of July. So we should give our departments a direction on where to go with their budgets. Thoughts?
I guess I don't know that this is a direction for the department heads, but we don't see after we go through all this work in the planning and zoning and with the floodplain management coming up, as technical as it is, I guess, for lack of another word, that we're going to have somebody dedicated to that job. I really don't. I'll commend Chris for taking it on. It's certainly taken up more than 2.5% of his time in the last 6 months, and I don't think it's going to get any easier even after we get it all lined up and set up and work through our issues that we have. I don't know how that process works. I mean, I don't necessarily think it has to be a department per se, but I don't know where it would fit in other departments. So I guess that's why I wanted to talk about it, I guess, because I don't know how it works.
100% in agreement. And I guess I can't remember when it was, but I did ask Brian Singer to go out and pull some counties on their planning and zoning departments and what their people are being paid, and something that I think, because otherwise you're going to get this plan done from Houston Engineering, and if you don't have somebody dedicated to implement that plan, it's a dust collector.
Right. And I think I think between this, the planning, and I think the floodplain management are going to be, there's going to be parts of it that are going to be so intertwined that you're going to have to know about both of them to be
Right.
to be able to do the job. And this doesn't reflect poorly on anybody that we have working for the county now, but it's a totally different education base. It's, you know, experience wise, it's
Right.
we just don't have. We got, you know, Beth would have some experience because she's doing the evaluations and those kinds of things, but then when it comes to the technical portions of the ordinances that are going to come out of this or whatnot, you know, she doesn't have time. You know, she's going to work with this person, I would assume, but she definitely doesn't have the personnel or the expertise that really. I think this is something the county is really lacking. Needs to be.
I couldn't be in more agreement. I think it's something that's we've lacked, and it's something that's greatly needed. And I think there's departments and personnel within the county that have bits and pieces of this knowledge and expertise that could go along with this,
Right.
but not one individual that would encompass that whole type of situation. Right. So I think it's a creation of a completely new individual to fit that need.
Realize that's not going to be popular out in amongst the county, but I think that, you know, we're way behind the times on this one.
Yep. So, thank you for bringing that up. So, I think before we get to budget time, we need to come up with a job or job description. Yeah. What we want for that individual, whether it be a department or incorporate that individual into a department and be a part of an existing department that we currently have. But either way, I think it's a great idea. So,
I guess the other thing that I wanted to bring up is trying to find money for that individual. You know, the county pays the captain of the COs over at the jail. And I was wondering, you know, is there issues that was, can we send that back to the LEC for funding, you know, so we're just paying our share of that, or, I mean, was this a permanent deal, or what?
I think at the time it was, but I agree that individual should probably be part of the LEC staff and not a member of our sheriff's department.
Well, you know, I have had conversations with Brian about it here and there, and he stated that in his opinion, part of the problems with the inspections is the DOC doesn't understand how made relationships more complicated in their eyes than it had to be, and sometimes I don't know if that causes infractions or whatnot, but it seemed like it would simplify things with them. It wouldn't have, I don't know.
They just misinterpret the hierarchy and the level of control and command and control over there. The hierarchy of that entire structure is confusing to DOCR, and I think it has been for a number of years, just for the simple fact that we are a multi-county organization, so it's not Sheriff Lang that's the head of the organization, and so they have a difficult time understanding that whole concept of chain of command and who's responsible for what, kind of thing. And so that's been an issue for DOCR and for a number of years, but that's a discussion that Sheriff Lang and myself and LEC administrator and Captain Kraft can have, and see how we can make that happen. And but that would certainly be one way to.
I mean, you'd have some of that next person's salary there.
Right.
It wouldn't be quite as a big lump to swallow.
Yep. So
that would be great if you guys could sit down and see if you could work that out.
that'd be certainly one way to do it without an additional individual. So, yeah, and I think just giving the departments an idea of, cost of living and steps and grades and different things like that can come up at a later discussion. We all know what inflation's doing to our economies and our cost of doing business. So, and then the other 800-pound gorilla in the room is the whole property tax initiation that could potentially be on the November ballot, and how we circumnavigate that. If that were to get on the ballot and pass, what does that look like for Ramsey County? So, anything else you'd like to bring up on the 2025 budget, direction for departments?
I just wanted to throw that stuff out there so everybody can think about it before we actually have to make any decisions.
25 major highway projects, Kevin? Nothing?
No, I think the way it's turning out, our CER 2022 flood project, they're going to be pushed back to 25, but we still have the money. I mean, the money will carry over from 24 to 25, so it's not going to be a raise in the tax.
Okay.
That was 80-20.
Yeah, 80-20 match. I budgeted 20 match.
Okay. So,
I guess that's, something else that we probably should be thinking about too is, the bridge that you guys were talking about. Sounds like to me the last 2 years, part of the hang up is always, or the last two applications to the grants is they've got that 5 mile, bypass thing, and I sat on the township board with FEMA said you have to pick your routes and everything else is null and void as far as being covered by federal money, but I'd hate to have that part of the county lose that bridge. So, if we need to be taking that project on ourselves, we need, have some numbers to work with if that's,
right.
I'm not saying taxes, but if that's, putting a bond issue together or something, if it turns out that that's the best bang for the buck is to actually replace it, then we probably need to be thinking ahead on that too.
One thing to remember with bridges, they're a 2 to 3 year project.
Right.
I mean, it's just the way it is with environmental stuff and everything.
Yeah. Right. I mean, if we're not, we're gonna have to make a decision if we're gonna wait for the next grant opening, or can we get that temporarily fixed until the next grant thing. But to me, I think the writing's on the wall. As long as that 5 mile bypass is in that, that's gonna ding us every time, unless everybody else gets their bridges done and we just happen to move up a little farther on the list, then it might not hurt us. But it sounds like it's kind of a,
unless the feds come up with a bid,
right, and that's probably not good. Yeah, unlikely.
Okay. Anything else on 25 budget? Candy's favorite time of year.
Right next to elections.
Yeah,
Right next to elections.
I think it's true for this year.
It's a twofer. It's budget season. It's never an easy time for counties and city governments and all that kind of good stuff. I know Mayor Mo had mentioned that he would like to put together a committee of community leaders and trying to get our priorities in check. You know, there's a lot of needs and priorities within our community. City, Devils Lake, Ramsey County itself, come together with what we truly need, or what we just want, and distinguish between the two, and then kind of come up with a way to prioritize what those needs are, and come up with plans on how to achieve those different prioritizations for our community, whether it be healthcare, schools, education, other law enforcement type of infrastructure, different things like that that is going to affect the citizens of the city of Devils Lake and Ramsey County. So I know he said he's kind of recruited Susie to help organize that committee, and so Susie's going to take the bull by the horn, I'm sure, and start organizing that and coming up with what the community needs and are in the future. So with that, Sheriff, must have had a busy morning.
A little bit, not bad.
Anything for us today?
No.
Okay. No news is good news. No requests are even better. So appreciate you being here today. Portfolios. Commissioner Hodis, would you like to start?
Yeah, nothing real serious. We did get a tour a week or two ago. Maybe it was last week already. It goes so fast. Of the housing facility of the social services within the courthouse. Seeing what their needs were. Paul and I and Commissioner from Towner County and Rhonda took us out and about. When I see some of the spaces, I'm not so sure we shouldn't have a committee to look through the courthouse and determine the needs and wants. And
Commissioner Wilhelm and I had discussed that, and something we can bring up for discussion at our, when are we meeting again? May 15th? 21st. May 21st. Well, and bring that up for a discussion and maybe form a committee. Because certainly if there's any building renovations or moving around of offices or anything like that, that should probably fall within budget discussions as well. If there's any renovations that would need to be made or adjusted as we adjust some of the spacing for office spaces within the building and department needs. So something that we'll look at creating a better understanding of at our May 21st meeting. So Commissioner Wilhelmy, anything?
No, nothing so far this month.
Okay. Commissioner Gessner?
I don't have anything. I was trying to get to Beth's office. I heard on the radio here the other day that the state increased ag land values by 10% or something. I didn't catch it all, so I was going to touch base with her to see what that was going to mean for us, but I haven't got there yet. And everything else is just status quo right now, I guess.
Okay. She had brought that sheet in earlier this year on what our adjustments could look like, and staying within that threshold that the state puts out, we may have to make a slight adjustment on that. That's the one there. Did she have that number circled? I know every year they do a study or a survey based on that, and second page. Yeah. So and potentially maybe going up a little bit. So egg land valuation in 2023 was $705 an acre. It looks like, and 728.37 for this year. So very minimal adjustment. Anything else, Commissioner?
Nope.
I guess I forgot to ask if you had anything.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Not a whole lot going on, and I know the state's attorney's office is incredibly busy. I keep bugging them for different things on a regular basis, so I appreciate Daniel and Bo's help, and Megan's, and all the staff up there for being accommodating to some quirky commissioner requests on occasion. Airport's going good. We should be just about complete here by the end of the month. Looking at probably an open house. People get an invitation for the expansion of the terminal out there as that project continues to move forward and nears its completion. We're really looking forward. It's a really exciting time out at the airport, and every month we seem to be setting boarding records. So as long as we don't have bad weather cancellations or anything like that, we should be really good for setting some really high boarding numbers for this year, which is great for reimbursements from the federal government. Water, the Devils Lake outlets were turned on yesterday. Got that notification from the Department of Water Resources that they turned the West End outlet on yesterday morning, and running at currently 200 cubic feet per second. And at the outlet advisory meeting earlier in April, they decided to operate the pumps at capacity for the operational season when downstream conditions would allow. So we'll see what kind of headway we can make on getting some of those upper chain of lakes back within their natural banks. But keeps raining, we may be going backwards. But the rain's been welcome. I think for the most part, it's just unfortunate that it's lasted 7-8 days in a row. Really tough on the road crew. Appreciate Kevin and Jason and all their hard work over the weekend when they had sunshine and were able to make hay while the sun shined, kind of thing, and trying to get to some of these roads that were in tough shape after last week's rain. Now today, I think it's supposed to clear up the rest of the week, but we hope. And just a reminder for those that are in summer maintenance mode for roads that it falls upon your township officers. Call them first. And unless it's a county road that has a little blue Ramsey County sticker on it on the road marker, it's a township road or a private road. And generally, those individuals take care of their maintenance schedules and start there first. So, but I appreciate all the things that the road crew has been doing and trying to make headway and getting our roads back in shape from spring and the rain that we've had. So, best of luck to all the farmers out there. Hopefully it's a very productive season. Roger, did you have anything else before we?
Yeah, I was just over at the sheriff's house, and where she would talk about the windows. A lot of that isn't really from the water. That's just normal sunshine and deterioration over time. And I've seen it before, and it's still the old putty for the windows, not caulking like we have nowadays. And I've been trying to make sure the outside windows, storm windows, are watertight so nothing gets in there. Yes, the paint's peeling in there and whatnot, but all the storm windows are all screwed in and caulked in.
you try and take some of them out, you're gonna end up busting them, you know. So I don't think a lot of them there's gonna be much we're gonna be able to do with. So
Sure. Understand that it's a 114-year-old building.
right,
So
yeah. So anyway, that was all I had.
thank you. Unless anybody has anything else, Daniel, did you have anything for us? No. Appreciate you being here today. With that, we'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you all for attending.